Some places don't remember the dead, they replay them. There's a school in the quiet, rolling hills of Coldenham. A place that stands like a lonely monument against the gray November sky. The autumn fog wraps around it, clinging to the brick and stone, muffling the world outside. Inside, the classrooms are frozen in time. Desks coated in a fine layer of dust sit in neat, silent rows. The hallways, once filled with the rush of children and the clamor of bells, now echo with a profound emptiness. But the locals, the ones who have lived in its shadow for generations, will tell you that the silence is a lie. They say that every year, as Thanksgiving approaches, something returns to Coldenham School. The past isn't gone, it's just waiting. It begins subtly, a flicker of light in a second-story window, seen from the road late at night. A maintenance worker checking the boiler room swears he hears the faint scrape of a chair from the floor above. But when he goes to check, the rooms are empty, just as he left them. He dismisses it as the old building settling, the wind playing tricks. But then it happens again. A teacher, staying late to grade papers in the new building next door, looks across the lawn and sees the windows of the old school fogging up from the inside, as if a full class were breathing in the cold, dead air. She tells her husband about it, who tells a friend at the local diner, and the story begins to spread, awakening a memory the town tries to forget. The stories say the hauntings are tied to a tragedy, a day so dark it stained the very walls of the school. A day in November, right before the Thanksgiving break. Details are whispered, never spoken aloud, as if saying the words might give them power. They talk about a sudden, violent storm, a wall collapsing, and the joyful sounds of a school day being silenced in an instant. 9 children lost. The town mourned, rebuilt, and tried to move on. But the school never did. It holds onto that day, replaying it in fragments, like a broken record. Every year, as the anniversary nears, the activity grows stronger. The gentle whispers become clearer. Custodians and late-night explorers have reported hearing the faint, haunting melody of children practicing hymns, the sound crackling through the broken intercom speakers. It's a tune no one has taught in that building for decades, yet it drifts through the empty corridors like a phantom choir. Security guards patrolling the grounds have seen them, small figures standing in doorways, their shapes blurred by the darkness, just for a second, when they shine their flashlights. There's nothing there, only dust motes dancing in the beam. But the feeling remains, the chilling certainty that you are not alone, that you are being watched by eyes that saw their last sunrise long ago. One old caretaker, who worked there for 40 years before retiring, used to say the same thing every autumn. He'd lean on his broom, his voice a low rumble, and say, "It only happens this time of year, right before the holiday. It's like the building itself remembers something dreadful. It gets restless." He spoke of classroom doors creaking open on their own, of the smell of chalk dust suddenly thick in the air, and of the unshakable feeling that a class was in session just beyond his sight. He refused to go into the old wing after sundown during the month of November. He said it didn't feel right. It felt like trespassing on someone else's grief. Imagine being there on one of those nights, Thanksgiving Eve. The wind howls outside, rattling the old window frames. The air is so cold it bites at your skin. You're standing in the main hallway, flashlight beam cutting through the oppressive darkness. The silence is so complete it feels heavy, pressing in on you. You can hear your own heartbeat, a frantic drum against the stillness. And then it starts. A single locker door at the far end of the hall slams shut. The sound cracks through the silence like a gunshot, echoing endlessly. Then another, and another, a perfect, terrifying rhythm, moving down the hall, one by one, as if an invisible line of students is closing them for the last time. Your breath catches in your throat. You're frozen, unable to move, able to do nothing but listen as the metallic bangs get closer and closer. Then, as the last locker slams shut right beside you, a new sound emerges from the darkness ahead, from the direction of the old gymnasium. It's a voice, a child's voice, small and clear, cutting through the cold. It doesn't shout, it doesn't scream, it just asks a simple question, a question that carries the weight of years of sorrow. "Teacher, we're still here." The voice is filled with a quiet, heartbreaking patience, as if they've been waiting all this time to be found, waiting for their lesson to continue, waiting to go home. Against every instinct screaming at you to run, you take a step forward, and another. The building seems to respond to your presence. The air grows thick, heavy, like the moments before a thunderstorm. It feels charged, alive. You can almost feel it breathing around you, a slow, ancient inhale and exhale. The walls seem to watch you. The floors seem to feel your weight. You're no longer just in a building. You're inside something. Something that remembers. As you push open the doors to the gymnasium, the source of the voice, a new horror greets you. Every single light in the entire school flickers on at once. Every classroom, every hallway, every closet bathed in a stark, sterile, silent glow. There's no one there. The desks are still empty. The halls are still clear. But the school is awake, and it knows you're inside. You stand there for what feels like an eternity, caught in the silent, illuminated heart of the tragedy. The building hums with a sorrowful energy, a collective memory of a day that never should have happened. There are no ghosts jumping out, no figures chasing you down the hall. There is only the profound, crushing weight of what happened here. The presence of children who never got to celebrate another Thanksgiving. You finally back away, stumbling out into the cold, clean air of the night, leaving the lit-up school behind you like a beacon of grief. The next morning, the sun rises on a quiet, still school. The lights are all off. The hallways are empty and dark once more. The silence has returned, as if the events of the night were just a terrible dream. Anyone driving by would see nothing but an abandoned building, waiting for the wrecking ball. But if you were brave enough to go back inside, to walk down that same hallway and peek into that first classroom, you'd see it. On the dusty blackboard, where nothing was written before, a new message has appeared, scrawled in what looks like fresh chalk. In the looping, unsteady handwriting of a child, are four simple words. See you next year. If this haunted school sent chills down your spine, like, share, and follow Hollow Voice for more true haunted legends.